In this video, we're going to minimize the distance between two runners given a certain set of circumstances. Todd's house is 30 kilometers west of Eleanor's house. At noon, Todd leaves his house and jogs 5 kilometers directly north. At the same time, Eleanor leaves her house and jogs directly west at a speed of 7 kilometers per hour. They each run for 6 hours before they stop. So at what time, rounded to the nearest minute, will they be closest together? Well, we're going to use a Cartesian plane for this question, and we're going to let Todd's house be at the origin. So since Todd jogs directly north, he'll never leave the y-axis. He'll just be jogging along the x-axis from the origin up. And so since he's jogging 5 kilometers per hour, his y-coordinate will always be equal to 5t. So his coordinates at any time will be 0, 5t. Eleanor's house is 30 kilometers east of Todd's house. And so that's like saying 30 kilometers east of the origin. So the coordinates of Eleanor's house at the start will be 30, 0. She'll be over here. But as she jogs west in this direction to the left, her x-coordinate will actually decrease. So therefore, her x-coordinate at any given time will be 30 minus 7t. And since she's doing this running along the x-axis, her y-coordinate will remain at 0. So at any given time, Eleanor's position will be given by 30 minus 7t, 0. Now, we know that the distance between 2 points is given by a particular formula, square root of x2 minus x1 quantity squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, Eleanor's coordinates will be x2 and y2, and Todd's coordinates will be x1 and y1. So we can say x2 minus x1 will be 30 minus 7t minus 0, and y2 minus y1 will be 0 minus 5t. So again, using this formula here that we learned in an earlier grade, we say it's the square root of 30 minus 7t minus 0 quantity squared plus 0 minus 5t quantity squared. Now, doing some relatively simple algebra, we see we have to multiply 30 minus 7t times 30 minus 7t and then add 25t squared to that, all under the square root. And as we do that, we see ultimately that our distance formula will be the square root of 74t squared minus 420t plus 900. Now, the domain is actually given in the question by saying they run for 6 hours before stopping. So we see that our domain will be 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to 6. What we're going to do now is we're going to set the derivative of d of t equal to 0. So we'll say d prime at t equals 0. And we'll use the chain rule, because what we really have here is 74t squared minus 420t plus 900 raised to the exponent of 1/2. So we're going to bring that 1/2 in front, reduce the exponent by 1, and then multiply by the derivative of what's inside. In other words, multiply by 148t minus 420. That's what we get here. We're setting that expression equal to 0. And we can put the 2 in the denominator as well as this expression here in the denominator with a positive exponent, and then leave 148 minus 420 in the numerator. And so this expression is equal to 0. Well, that means we can just multiply both sides by that denominator that you see there. And so we ultimately get 148t minus 420 equal to 0, or t is roughly equal to 2.838. Now, we can use approximation here because the question is actually asking us to round it to the nearest minute. So there will be a little bit of rounding. And we see that this is, in fact, inside the domain. If you remember a little while ago, we said the domain will be 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to 6. So that 2.838 is in there. And we're just going to go back to the original distance formula and calculate the distance between the two runners at a time of 0 at a time of 2.838 and at a time of 6. Well, we see that this distance here, 17.44, is less than either 30 or 32.31. So our minimum distance is 17.44, which occurs after 2.838 hours. Okay, well, how many minutes is that? Because we want to state it as a time. So 2.838 hours times 60 minutes per hour is roughly equal to 170 minutes. 170 minutes after noon, since there are 60 minutes in an hour, is the same as 2 hours and 50 minutes. So 2 hours and 50 minutes after noon is the same as 2:50 p.m. So we can say that that's the time that they're closest together.